What's your question?
Hi, this is for Wentworth. Chris Redfield happens to be my favorite character in the series. So I was wondering, now that you've done your homework, what elements are you taking from his personality to incorporate into Chris Redfield's character in the movie?
Well, that's a great question, and it was not an easy challenge because there were a lot of things that I tried to honor and incorporate. The first thing was fan expectation. I did go online, I went to a lot of fan sites and blogs to see what the conversation was about this character, what people might expect when they finally saw Chris Redfield on the screen. I watched extended sequences from the video game, so I get a taste for his history and his backstory. There was the question of what I bring as myself to the table as an actor, and then there's also the element of who is Chris Redfield in the very specific Resident Evil universe that Paul Anderson has created. I have to fit into that context or I don't fit at all. And what I noticed about Chris Redfield, especially in the earlier versions of the video games, is that he was kind of bright and shiny in some ways. I think at the beginning of a really horrible journey with a lot of dark times ahead of him. And when you see him in this movie, he's got a lot of edge. He's got a lot of darkness. And I'm grateful for what Ali and I were able to create because it's the dynamic with Claire that I think brings out some of the more softer, protective, more vulnerable parts of hers.
Great. Hi, what's your question?
Hi, I just wanted to say first, Mila, you are the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. Ever since I saw the Fifth Element, I've been gaga.
Dude, your husband's right here, dude.
He's a very lucky
man.
man.
That's cold.
Very lucky man. But I wanted to ask if you had the same fight trainer from the last film, Charles Courier, because I personally know him, and I just was wondering about that.
Oh, Charlie. No, not Charlie Guns. See, Charles is an expert with the cookeries, which in Resident Evil Extinction were those really badass, like, kind of hacking, slicing knives that I used, which are actually used by Tibetan monks. But they use them to kind of like machetes. It's like a really hardcore machete, but it's never actually been used in a movie. And I used 2 of them, which was really awesome. So Charlie was unbelievable, teaching me all the different ways you can sort of hack and slice and dice. And I mean, these things are amazing. I mean, between like chopping zombies, you could make a salad. You know, you could cut through a good, rib for a barbecue. I mean, these things are pretty powerful instruments. But tell Charlie I say hi, he's the best.
Hi, what's your question?
Hello, Mila. You're kind of my superhero.
Thank you.
No Angelina Jolie compares to you, okay? Okay, my question
But Angie
is,
rules, so...
compared to you, she never will.
There's no... Let's not compare. But thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, I'm a big fan of Ultraviolet, and my question is if you did your stunts, and if most of it was green screen or you shot at different places.
For Ultraviolet?
No, I mean like in Resident Evil.
Oh, Resident Evil, well, in this one, like Ali was saying, I mean, we did a lot of location work, so that was very challenging because doing stunts against a green screen, is very much easier than doing stunts outdoors, like when we did Extinction. And we were out in the desert, man, 135 degrees. We're like, stunt rigs, like with the coat, I mean, sweating. I mean, it was really horrendous weather. And that becomes such a challenge. So, of course, getting into a studio that has air conditioning and, is sort of an isolated place where you have the space and the safety to do things. And like the wind would start with dust, and suddenly I'd be swinging 50 feet in the air, like, okay. So definitely definitely, in this movie, because of the 3D, we did a lot more stunts against a green screen, and just based on the kind of stunts they were, you know, they had to be done against the green screen so that later Paul could put the background in. So yeah, I think for most of this movie, the stunts were very much green screen, apart from, you know, the airplane graveyard sequences where we were knee deep in mud and our tractors
A lot of
were
it was on
breaking
stage, but I mean, the scene you just saw was, there's no green screen in that. That was all shot on the set. That was all
Yeah,
shot for
the
real.
scene with Ali and the Axeman dude.
The execution.
Execution. Yeah, that was all on a stage. You know, I mean, that was definitely not a green screen.
When you're shooting a scene like that we saw with the Executioner, was the water actually going? Were they dealing with all the elements that you have to deal with in a scene like that, or can you add that in post? Can you work that in later?
There was water. Because there's water in the scene, but then each time you have to start and stop, you have to get sprayed down again, so you're freezing cold. But, you know, it was really interesting because we shot that with this Phantom camera, and the Phantom camera is, I like to say it was the diva on the set. If it was too hot, it would get steamed up. If it was cold, it would freeze up. And you can only shoot like 23 seconds at a time. So you had to be so patient with it, but it really gives you, I mean, this amazing visual, and it was exciting to get a chance to use that camera, because that's one of those that came straight from James Cameron, and just, you know, you get to see how cool that sequence looks.
And NASA, actually, that camera was used to locate minor cracks in a spaceship's outer shell, because it slows down to such a degree that even the naked eye cannot see what that sees. So that camera was actually developed by NASA to you know, help build spacecrafts. By the way, a little factoid.
Yeah. But yeah, the water, I definitely makes it difficult because you try to keep your eyes open, you try to see, and then it's like, you know, when I was jumping around and stuff, having to jump off, you know, the shelves, I mean, you're slipping. I mean, if you don't land right, you don't have any, you know, anything to grip on. So it just makes it a little more dangerous to do the stunts, but that's what makes it exciting.
Well, from everything we've seen, this movie kicks the franchise up to a next level, and we're all really looking forward to it. Thanks so much for spending some time with us today. Please help me thank Paul and Kat. Resident Evil Afterlife.